and happy Pride. My name is Christine Kim, and I'm the new alder of Ward 7, and welcome to Ward 7, the heart of New Haven. Heart of New Haven in our amazing downtown, in our 9th Square neighborhood. It is Pride, but what I'm feeling today is hope. Not just because this amazing board co-chair's name is Hope, yes, Hope Chavez, but also hope for our city, all of our people, no matter race, gender, sexual orientation. New Haven is a city where we care about each other and show up for each other. And I'm so glad all of you are here at the New Haven Pride Center to kick off Pride and to kick off this new chapter, hopeful chapter of the Pride Center in New Haven throughout Connecticut. And I'm so glad to welcome all of you here in front and back of the cameras, everyone at home, and welcome. And to kick it off, here is the board co-chair of the New Haven Pride Center, Hope Chavez.
I am just like in complete awe. Happy Pride, y'all! This is what it should feel like. We are so proud to be here on Rainbow Road, to be lighting up the corner of this square again after an incredibly difficult year and one of the most difficult climates for LGBTQ folks in this country. Today is actually a day of rejoicing. The New Haven Pride Center reaches 30 years this year, and thank God we didn't have to close our doors. This is 30 years, this is a phoenix that is rising, and we are really proud. A few years ago, as many of you know, we faced a financial hardship that this organization had never experienced before. And some of the board's members who stand up here with me, we had to make incredibly difficult decisions. We had to practice transparency and accountability with our community, and that was a lot. And we went through it, and we went through it with great care and great kindness, and I'm very proud of that. And earlier this year, following federal cuts and other massive changes to this organization's budget, we almost thought we had to close our doors. And we got a call. I got a call from a donor that said, hey, what's the number? What does it take for this to actually not be the end of the New Haven Pride Center, one of only 2 LGBTQ plus community centers in the state of Connecticut? And so my board and I worked together, we made a strategy, we made a roadmap. Many of the people who are behind me here today were in a kickoff meeting where we had a room full of donors together, and we said, here's what it would take, $500,000, and a lot of people with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to pour in to rebuild this center. And within exactly 30 days, very ironically on April 15th on tax day, we concluded a $500,000 raise under a moniker Project Phoenix to ensure the reopening of the New Haven Pride Center. So today you're going to hear from a lot of folks who are a part of that journey with us, either in solidarity with us and support, people who were in the room, people who made the decisions to help us get this far, and some of the folks who I hope will be a part of reimagining this next chapter of the New Haven Pride Center alongside our community. So to kick us off is our very own New Haven Mayor, Justin Elliker.
Good morning, everybody. This is a big day. It's a big day. First of all, can we give a huge round of applause to Hope and Nick for getting us through this chapter? And a second round of applause to the many people who donated to reach that $500,000 mark. I've said it many times and I will say it again, New Haven is a city that welcomes everyone, and we do not just welcome everyone, we stand side by side with people that want to be a productive part of our community. We defend people in our community when they're under attack, whether it's our immigrant community, whether it's our LGBTQ community, whether it's women who are having their reproductive rights under attack right this moment. We stand ready to support our community no matter who you are, and that is what today is about. The Pride Center is too important to fail. It is too important to fail. It's too important for the members of our community that rely on the important services. It is too important as a representation of the values of our community. And it is too important at this moment. When the federal government is attacking the LGBTQ community, we said no. When the Pride Center said we have to close because of our financial challenges, our community said no. And we pushed and made sure that we had the resources and the support under the leadership of Hope and Nick, the support of the Community Foundation and so many donors to make sure that the Pride Center remains strong and these doors remain open. We still have work to do, Hope, right? We still have a lot of work to do, but I'm grateful for the support. And when I say work to do, the city is looking forward to supporting as well financially, and we need the support of our alders as well. Alder Redente is here, Alder Kim, Alder Smith, and Alder Theodore, who have been consistent advocates for the Pride community as well. Today is a day of real pride for our community, and so grateful for all the folks that came together to make this moment happen. Here's to more work together, and it is my great pleasure to present someone who also exudes a lot of pride for New Haven, and that is Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro.
My friends here, and we are celebrating Project Phoenix. It's a rebirth. It is rising again, and this is, there's no more fitting time for us to be here than on the first day of Pride Month. Yes, during the Pride, celebration, activism. I believe it is more important than ever to take the time to celebrate the role that the Pride Center has played and will continue to play in creating positive changes, safety, and belonging within our community. Yes, it is our 30th anniversary, but as been pointed out, the journey to where we are today has been long and fraught, with many setbacks and frustrations. But throughout it all, this community never gave up, never backed down, and never took no for an answer. Never took no. I want to say to the three board members, to you, Hope, to Nick, to Chloe, you took on this fundraising journey. $500,000 to restore and reopen this center. You achieved the goal in 30 days. It is the single largest fundraising effort ever accomplished by an LGBTQ organization in Connecticut's history. Yes. Incredible generosity. New Haven community partners like the New Alliance Foundation, Community Foundation of Greater New Haven, city government. Once again, people turned out because they understood that this center could do incredible things. I was so happy to support this process, and I cannot tell you how I look forward to what the next steps are. Just briefly, organizations like the Pride Center, they play a vital role in the global equality movement, like nearly 300 others that are part of a global center-link network. This center has offered an array of services: mental health, civic engagement, legal assistance, physical health activities, youth support, community outreach, and more. These services don't just help individual LGBTQ people improve their immediate circumstances, they form the basis of connections between people and their community. They create bonds that lead to activism. This is a place to gather, to find hope. It is a buffer and a barrier against hatred. It is a safe space for young and old. And the success and the growth of centers such as this has been an instrumental part of the success of the LGBTQ plus movement nationally. And we must continue to support this model going forward. I think it's important to know that because we prepare to celebrate Pride, but we need to recognize that we are in the midst of an LGBTQ mental health crisis. 39% of LGBTQ plus young people seriously consider attempting suicide in the past year, and over 10% attempted to do that at least once. Inaction, my friends, is not an option. Organizations like the Center are being targeted by those who wish to turn back the clock on social progress. They are using every tool at their disposal, trying to hijack the annual appropriations process with discriminatory policy riders that single out and exclude LGBTQ plus people. I've worked with Congressman Mark Pocan, who's head of the Equality Caucus in the House, with Mark Takano, Becca Valens, on the Appropriations Committee. We have fought hard to strip these riders from the bills. And last year, working with the Senate, we defeated 99% of them. And this year, we're going to do it. So, we are strong in our support of the Equality Act, which prohibits discrimination based on sex, sexual orientation, and gender in employment, in housing, in education, and federally funded programs. Let me just conclude by saying to you, we celebrate today, but we need to speak loudly and reject hatred and extremism, show that our democratic values are built on respect for all people. We find joy in today's efforts that exemplifies the spirit of pride, both as a celebration and a protest. And I stand with you on both of those efforts. You see the joy of pride today. Project Phoenix is a rebirth, but it's only the beginning. Let's make the most of it together. Thank you. My pleasure to introduce this great, wonderful lady, Carolyn Thomas-Smith.
Happy Pride, New Haven! Let's go! My name is Caroline Thomas-Smith, and I serve on the City of New Haven Board of Alders. And I'm so proud to stand next to my colleagues, Alder Redente, Alder Theodore, and Alder Kim, and also next to each and every one of you, as we celebrate our Pride Center loudly, joyfully, and together. I deeply believe that cities are not defined by the challenges that we face. We're defined by what values we refuse to abandon and how we as a community choose to respond. And in this time of challenge, New Haven has made our answer very, very clear. To every single donor, thank you for choosing generosity, even when the outcome was not guaranteed. To every volunteer and every neighbor, thank you for continuing to show up with a radiant and unwavering belief in what our center means for our city. And in particular, to Hope and to Nick and to the board, thank you for choosing the harder path of rebuilding. The long nights, the tender moments of real uncertainty, the risk. Thank you for choosing that. On behalf of all of us, you all saved our Pride Center. There's a way of defining a community as a series of small acts of courage made by individual people, and that in aggregate become over time who we are as a community. And the results of your courage are both joyful and I believe deeply serious. Rainbow Elders can continue to gather here. The food pantry and the clothing closet can continue to be stocked. And the kid across the street who isn't ready yet, who hasn't told their family, who's only written it in the margins of their journal, can now look at this building and know her city loves her for who she is and for who she loves. Thank you to every single person that made today possible and made today not a story of heartbreak, but a story of joy, resilience, and celebration. This is New Haven. Thank you all very much. And now I'm excited to bring up one of our heroes, our treasurer, Eric Russell.
Good morning, New Haven. Happy Pride. It is great to be here with you. And I first just want to start from a place of gratitude. This is a big deal when you think about where the New Haven Pride Center was. In the wake on the cusp of closing, we had people step up and lead with their hearts in generosity. And I want to start just by saying thank you to Nick and Hope for your leadership. Nick, I know the number of text messages, he is relentless in building support for this initiative. And as was just said, it was the hard path. There were easier ways to go about this, but you pulled community together, which is what we are about as a broader LGBTQ community. We've always taken care of each other, taken care of ourselves when many others didn't see us and were attacking us and coming after us. We came together to drive a better vision. And that's what all of the donors and volunteers, the staff at the Pride Center all showed today. And we know how important this is, especially right now. I think about myself coming up here in New Haven and not necessarily seeing myself represented in the community, not seeing a pride flag up and or a community center that I know that I could go and feel safe and build community and meet other people that were figuring out their own journey. And that's what this is for, the community. It's a pillar. It is so important, the services that are being provided, the safe space that is here for so many residents across New Haven and the greater New Haven area. And this is all in the kind of overarching environment right now where our community is very much under attack. We see this on the national level. I know Rosa mentioned the rates of suicide and depression amongst young LGBTQ folks. But we're also seeing this exacerbated when you have policy right now on the federal level canceling the national suicide hotline for LGBTQ youth, defunding programs and services for the community, banning transgender folks from the military, ads using our young trans folks as political pawns, right? In ads all across the country saying that you shouldn't exist, right? Trying to erase us. The reality is we are not going anywhere. And that's what this community center and the support as a community stands for today. I'll end with this. Connecticut has always led the way around LGBTQ issues. We stand at the forefront of every single one of the protections around anti-discrimination, protecting access to gender-affirming care, making sure that whether it was civil unions or marriage equality, that has always been Connecticut and it always will be. So regardless of what these attacks are from the outside, from the national level, I want you all to know as a community that we will stand firm for our community moving forward. We will not bow down to threats or to attempts to dehumanize us. And Connecticut will always be a safe place for everyone. And so thank you all for all of your support. I look forward to celebrating Pride Month with you out there because we know that that's what a part of this is, right? That joy in and of itself can be an act of resistance, but it's also important as we celebrate Pride Month to know that this is rooted in protest, right? This is rooted in a fight, and we still have so much work and fighting and resistance to show, particularly in this moment. I look forward to doing that all alongside you. And speaking of folks that have continued to fight for our community, that have continued to lead here in Connecticut, it is my honor to turn it over to our Lieutenant Governor, Susan Bysiewicz.
Oh my goodness, thank you, Eric Russell. Aren't you proud to have him as your state treasurer? Well, good morning and happy first day of Pride Month, and I'm proud to stand right here above ground because I remember the days when down the block, this center was in the basement with no windows. You couldn't see it, you really didn't even know it was there. So I am so delighted to be here to celebrate not just the start of Pride, but this new chapter for the New Haven Pride Center, because the past couple of months, as everyone has noted, have been very challenging. And we could very well have been here celebrating 30 years, but the center fading away. But instead, because of the tenacity and the community support, we are here today to celebrate this new Pride Center that is so critical for the LGBTQ plus community in New Haven and beyond, because this place provides food, clothing, support, services, all the things that are so critical to have connection, to have a safe haven for the LGBTQ plus community. The governor and I are very proud to lead a state that has been recognized countrywide as one of the best places in the nation for the LGBTQ plus community. We are proud of that. We want to build on that. And when the federal government seeks to take away funding, to take away services, to try to disappear this community, or to vilify our transgender youth, we have stood up and said, no, we welcome every person who comes to our beautiful state. We are proud to be a safe haven for this community, and we are going to continue to expand rights and protections for our LGBTQ plus community. So I'm very proud to present to both Hope and Nick the governor's citation declaring the month of June in Connecticut as Pride Month, and we thank you both so much for your great service to our community. And with that, I give you our fearless leader. I'm proud to introduce Governor Ned Lamont.
Nick and Hope, thank God for New Haven Pride Center and everything you represent. You represent the very best of New Haven, and New Haven, Justin, represents the very best of Connecticut values, and I like to think Connecticut represents the very best of American values. All men are created equal. That's the founding document of this country. Regardless of race, color, creed, who you love, how you identify. That's who we are. That's what makes this amazing state, this amazing city so special. And we're getting away from that. A lot of the hateful rhetoric coming out of Washington, D.C., trying to divide people from each other and sort of telling people you don't belong. Well, the Pride Center in New Haven in Connecticut says you belong right here in this state. We love you. We're proud to have you here. Caroline, you just struck me. The young person who hadn't told their parents anything, maybe writing in the margins, as you just said. You know, the day after Donald Trump was elected, Susan and I stood forward, and people were talking about services and cuts, and I just said, I want our Hispanic kids and our trans kids to know we love you. We want to see you in school tomorrow. We'll be there to say welcome. Welcome here. We respect everything you do every day. You know, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That's what we're going to hear about at the 250th anniversary. Let's practice what we preach. Government, get away from it. Just leave our kids alone. That's what this day is all about. That's what the Pride Center is here. Thank you for keep going. Support the Pride Center. They make a difference in people's lives.
We're going to make a little shift now. I'm so grateful to all of our elected officials who came out today to reiterate from the local and the state level and the federal level that our city and our state is behind us, and that we have a lot of folks. And we're going to count on you to keep doing that good legislating and that good policy making, to fight for our trans kids and our LGBTQ youth and all the causes that matter to us. But now I'm going to invite up a woman who's incredibly dear to my heart, who honestly, this would not have happened without her. If under her leadership, the Community Foundation had not helped to convene that launch meeting, given us the credibility, the support, and the feedback to be able to build out the plan that got us this far, none of this would have happened. So it is my honor to bring up my dear friend, Dr. Karen Du Bois-Walton.
Thank you, Hope. Good morning.
Good morning.
I cannot thank this group enough for this opportunity to stand here on such a special day. So to Hope, to Nick, to the entire Pride Center board, to all of the leaders and the community members who made this moment possible, and to the team members, to the staff who lived with such uncertainty, and the community who lived with such uncertainty as to whether we'd be here. Thank you for what you've done and for how you've hung in there. Today is certainly more than the reopening of the center. It is about what our community chooses to stand for, especially in a moment when, as we've said, across the country, there are efforts to make our LGBTQ+ communities feel invisible. Here in Greater New Haven, we are making a different choice. We're choosing to be visible, we're choosing to be connected, and we're choosing to build something stronger together. So as you heard, I'm Karen DuBois-Walton. I am the president and CEO of the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven. And at the Community Foundation, we ground our work in some simple but powerful frameworks. We believe that if we're going to face the things we need to face to move ahead more inclusively and equitably, we need to simply be in spaces where we heal together, where we learn together, and where we drive action together. First, healing, right? The Pride Center's journey has not been easy over the last few years. Financial challenges, leadership transitions, and these broad national tensions have all taken a toll. But healing happens in community. And what we saw through Project Phoenix was just that. It was people stepping up, refusing to let the center disappear, and affirming that our Pride Center and our community matters. And then we learned. Our involvement began with conversations, with many conversations between myself and Hope, with conversations and outreach from community members who said, what can we do to help? And conversations with Nick and the team, and that openness created the conditions for something powerful. In response, we at the foundation convened a group of donors. In our conference room on the 4th floor, we sat with the Pride Center board. We talked with them about their current reality and vision forward. And that gathering was well attended, it was deeply engaged, and it was incredibly hopeful. In fact, our staff left there and described it as a ripple of hope in otherwise very challenging times. We know that when you invite people into both the truth and the possibility, that they'll show up. And we act. Through Project Phoenix, we saw what collective action looks like. Dozens of donors and partners coming together around an all or nothing goal and meeting it and crushing it. Of the funds pledged to date, approximately half were catalyzed by donors of the Community Foundation, folks we helped to bring to the table. An example of what it means to be a community foundation. We cannot just observe, but we have to activate. That's our role. We connect people, we mobilize resources, and we stand with organizations in moments of challenge and possibility. And then together, we build the path forward. And we're not done. We continue to stand with the Pride Center. That partnership, as we look forward, in providing the leadership and supporting the leadership, we will ensure that the next chapter is not just about a reopening, but it's a thoughtful and a strategic reimagining. Because we know a center is more than a building, it's a home, and it's a signal, and it's a reminder that when community chooses to act together, even in the hardest moments, that can really serve as a foundation for something new. So congratulations on the past 30 years, here's to the next, and happy Pride.
Next, I am really honored to bring up Dara from Beacon Communities, and I gotta say, y'all, I don't know that I've ever gone on record to press and really done a good dance and cheerleading for a landlord, but I have to say, without Beacon Communities, we would have lost our space and the grace and the ability to even consider doing Project Phoenix. It would have been a totally different ballgame if we also had to fight to save a space on top of doing the monumental fundraising that we had to do. So I am so proud to bring up Dara and to thank her team for the work that they did to give us grace while we did this project.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We are so thrilled to be here to celebrate 30 years of the New Haven Pride Center and the beginning of Pride here in New Haven. You heard some really incredibly kind of passionate, emotional reasons why this is an important day in our city and our state and our country, and this is an important place in New Haven. I want to highlight a couple of moments that are really important to us. So about 3 years ago, when this space became open, and we got approached by the New Haven Pride Center, and I was told, as Lieutenant Governor mentioned, that they were down in the basement just a block away. I was like, wait, what do you mean they're just down in the basement? I had no idea. And as a longstanding New Haven resident who grew up here, I was like, I didn't even know there was a New Haven Pride Center. So there was nothing more obvious or more consequential for us to be able to do than to bring them up to this space that has light, that has windows, that has prominence. This is our anchor location. And so for us to have that opportunity to welcome them to the home in Ninth Square and make them such a presence, a visible part of the New Haven neighborhood here was just honestly a true joy and a great stroke of fortune for us as the owners here. So then when, 3 years forward, when we heard that things were tough at the Pride Center, there was no one who really wanted them to succeed more than us. So for us, just holding out hope and waiting and just really being blown away by the way New Haven stepped up and supported the Pride Center, and everyone showed up and wrote those checks is just incredible, because we really didn't have a lot of visibility into that. We were hearing bits and pieces, but to have that patience to allow this place to continue to be here and thrive here is more than, it was more than an economic decision. This was a moral decision for us. This is a clear, important anchor of the community. And just to articulate that, I have been through the center. You have all heard a little bit of the services that they offer here. It is just tremendously impactful, the work that is going on here, whether it's with the youth or with the seniors, whether it's drag bingo night or the elder rainbow evenings. This is just an incredible thing to have here in the community, and so important to us to support that and to have them remain our anchor tenant. And I'll just wrap by saying, again, as a longstanding New Haven resident, but as the daughter of a gay mom who went through her own struggles to come out to create an incredible career over 50 years and really deal with some of the challenges, I couldn't be more proud to be a part of the success of Pride Center's long-standing relationship and presence here in New Haven. So I am similarly excited to celebrate 30 years of the Pride Center and really looking to the next 30 years for our long-standing partnership and your incredible work here. Thank you, Hope.
And next, I'm really proud to bring up my dear friend Tani, who's in a leadership program with me, and I've gotten to know her a lot more intimately, but she has her own long-standing history here at the New Haven Pride Center as a parent, as a community volunteer, and an organizer. So, give it to Tani.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm honored to be here today as we celebrate Pride Month, the 30th anniversary of the New Haven Pride Center, and the extraordinary success of Project Phoenix. My first experience with the New Haven Pride Center was a little over 6 years ago when I joined the New Haven LGBTQ+ Youth Task Force. At the time, I was struggling to support my child through challenges that no parent wants to see their child face. That the world can sometimes be a cruel place, and for the first time, I found myself in a situation where unconditional love alone could not fix the problem or ease the hurt. I felt powerless and alone. That changed when I found the Pride Center. For my very first task force meeting, I was welcomed into a community of people who understood, who cared, who were committed to making things better for LGBTQ+ youth. Through that community, I found resources, friendships, and a sense of belonging, not only for my child, but for myself. I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity I've had to serve alongside so many dedicated advocates. Together, we've helped advance important changes in New Haven public schools, including a non-binary and gender non-conforming policy for students, more inclusive health education, and greater access to all gender bathrooms. Those accomplishments matter because representation matters, inclusion matters, and every young person deserves to know they belong. What makes the Pride Center truly special goes far beyond policies. It is a place where people find connection. It is a place where friendships begin and where individuals and families discover they are not alone. Many meaningful relationships in my my life were formed through this community. Through my work at CARE, I've seen firsthand the Pride Center is a trusted community partner and one of the first organizations that I thought of when opportunities arose to support local food pantries. As both a parent and a community advocate, I can say without hesitation that the Pride Center has made a lasting difference in my family's life and in the lives of countless others. So when I learned earlier this year that the center might be forced to close its doors, I was devastated. But I never believed the story was over. There is simply too much love, dedication, and history here for the story to end that way. Project Phoenix proved that. I want to thank the board for refusing to give up, and to thank every donor, volunteer, advocate, and everyone who contributed to making this campaign a success. Because Project Phoenix is about more than fundraising. This is what resilience looks like. This is what love looks like. This is what community looks like. As we celebrate Pride Month and look toward the future, remember this. When times are difficult, lean on your community. When others try to dim your light, remember your strength. And when obstacles stand in your way, remember the lesson of the Phoenix. We rise. Thank you.
I should have also said, in a moment of fear and doubt on my own part in the middle of Project Phoenix, about halfway through, I happened to be in a meeting with Tani, and I was feeling very emotional about it, and she just ran up to me with this big smile on her face, and she goes, okay, so when you make it, and when you do it, and then she starts strategizing with me through it, and I was like, oh, right, we're gonna do it. So she gives the wind beneath the wings of this Phoenix in such a big way. Next, I'm really pleased to introduce Amara Everlasting. Amara Everlasting has done a lot of programming here at the New Haven Pride Center, was even a part of our open house last week, came and is really excited to get more involved, and she's currently the founder of the Decolonial Sex Worker Justice Empowerment Project. Please welcome Amara.
Hi. Gosh. It really is incredible to be here today, knowing that the Pride Center supports someone like myself and a project like the Decolonial Sex Worker Justice Empowerment Project. I'm here to make one thing clear. The future of this and all Pride Centers around the country must center the liberation of Black, Indigenous, Latinx, migrant, disabled, sex working, and drug using queer and trans people if it is to truly reach and meaningfully impact our communities that are most marginalized and most vulnerable to systemic oppression and violence. The future of the Pride Center must meaningfully include us, not as tokens, but as leaders, as experts, as wisdom bearers that hold keys to our collective liberation from white supremacy, from homophobia, from transphobia, whorephobia, stigma, and oppression. Because we will never be free until we are all free. Now is the time for those committed to LGBTQIA+ rights and liberation to get critical. And now is the time to get radical and to pluck oppression from its deep-seated roots. The Stonewall riot was started by a Black trans sex worker named Marsha P. Johnson. One of the first mutual aid organizations by and for trans sex workers of color was established in New York City by a trans Puerto Rican sex worker named Sylvia Rivera. It is QT BIPOC sex workers and drug users we have to thank for liberatory harm reduction, peer-to-peer education on HIV prevention, and safer sex and drug use practices that met the community where it was at the height of the US-based AIDS crisis when no one else would. When no one else would. The road to progress here on occupied Turtle Island has been built through the blood, sweat, and tears of those most marginalized in our community. And for too long, we have been left behind. We have been marginalized. We have been excluded from the very movement that we built in the name of respectability politics, and to appeal to a system that can never truly see the LGBTQIA+ community as human beings deserving of a life free of violence, free of oppression. Respectability politics has cost our community dearly, and our most vulnerable members bear the cost in the form of police violence, incarceration, poverty, homelessness, and discrimination. My ask of all of you today is to drop the window dressing and to roll up your sleeves and do the hard work of dismantling the oppressive systems by the root. We won't get there, and we won't be free without you doing so. Queer and trans sex workers of color impacted by the criminal justice system are not just overdue their flowers, they're overdue a seat at the table where power is negotiated and dealt, so that we determine the material conditions of our lives for the better. And we lead the community forward to the collective liberatory future that will free all of us by centering those most vulnerable. Queer and trans futures depend on this commitment to radical action. In order for this to be built right, it needs to go deeper than superficial platitudes that don't dare to tread beyond the surface. To everyone invested in where the Pride Center is going, do the necessary work to center the most marginalized of our communities in everything that you design, that you propose, and that you do. Our community is counting on it. Our most vulnerable community members are counting on it. And as Audre Lorde said, the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. So thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Freemuth, one of the new board members for the Pride Center. Along with John Staknovich over here and Ryan Sutherland. We're really So I want to close this out with gratitude. Big thank yous to Karen and the entire staff of the Community Foundation, to Rosa DeLauro and her staff who aided us in navigating the IRS, to Dara and her team at Beacon Communities for making sure that we didn't lose our home, to Mayor Elliker for inspiring folks to give at our kickoff meeting and for being committed to funding and championing the Pride Center for years, to Alder Smith for joining our kickoff meeting, being a long-standing advocate, thought partner, and rock for us, to the New Alliance Foundation for being the first institutional partner to support us, to Tom Ortiz for building this beautiful flagpole, to the 43 donors who pledged $500,000 to make Project Phoenix possible, to the over 200 individuals across the region who've already said yes to volunteering, joining the board, and being part of rebuilding this organization, to former staff, for example, Juan Carlos Soto, right over here, thank you. Our former VP, and in particular, the indomitable Laura Bocadoro. And thank you to all those people who are not named here, from the bottom of my heart, for all you've done for the center. We wouldn't be here without you. Thank you. So if you know it, say it along with me. We're here, we're queer, and we're not going anywhere. Yeah! So we're going to take a quick photo and then feel free to come on inside. Keep on celebrating. We've got some snacks. Let's hang out.